Canada, to me, seems like if they get the saves from whoever it is, they should have enough everywhere else to win the tournament. Everybody, welcome into Nonsense on Ice. Doug Plagens here with you. And well, it's Nonsense on Ice presented by our friends at Upper Deck, where we talk hockey and we talk the hobby. And we have, again, a lot to talk about here today because it's been a busy month of January. You're all following the National Hockey League, so I know you can sense just how busy it is. A lot is happening. So we're going to have a lot happening here on this edition of Nonsense on Ice. And I guess in mentioning how busy the month of January is, it was so busy that we're recording this show in February. The calendar has flipped. Doesn't mean things are going to slow down, but here we are. Welcome to the month of February at the time of this recording, leading up to the Olympic break in the National Hockey League. So we're going to get into what we're going to talk about here on Nonsense on Ice shortly, and we've got a lot coming your way. Again, also as far as the hobby's concerned, releases from Upper Deck, they're picking up here. We've got stuff that's come out recently. We've got stuff coming up on the horizon. We talked about Series 2 Upper Deck. That's going to be a March release, but we talked about that last week. So again, busy on the ice, busy off the ice as far as the cardboard's concerned, and we are here for all of it. Again, Doug Plagens here with you, Nonsense on Ice, presented by our friends at Upper Deck. Before we get too far along, love a lot of the feedback we're getting here, folks. So like, subscribe, comment, check out all the other shows, all the other great programming on the Sports Cards Nonsense Media Network. There's a ton of great stuff, ton of great perspectives, a lot of great insight to satisfy whatever your collecting palette is. And from the outset here on Nonsense on Ice, we wanted to create something that was going to be fun for the hockey diehard, for the lifelong hockey collector, maybe for the hockey fan who just hasn't sampled the cards yet. Also, maybe for the person who's just dipping your toe in the hockey pool. You're just checking it out for the first time. We welcome all of you here to Nonsense on Ice. And well, hopefully again today, we have a lot of cool stuff to talk about. So we're available wherever you get your podcast. Check us out. I'm going to have some stuff I'm going to show. So we do have it available on YouTube. If you're listening on the audio side, one of the streaming services, and I show something that, hey, maybe I want to go see what that actually looks like. We are on YouTube. So again, anywhere you get your podcast, you can find us. And here on this edition of Nonsense on Ice. And don't forget to chime in on the socials at Doug Plagens on the Twitter X platform, on Instagram, always trying to send out new stuff your way. And I always look forward to any feedback that we get sent our direction. But here on this edition, we will get to who's hot, as we often do. We get through some of the NHL bullet points as January wrapped up and we're here into February and the playoff races. I don't even think saying the playoff races are taking shape fully sums it up. I think the playoff races are on, folks. And I think because the standings are so compact and because making the Stanley Cup playoffs nowadays, it's no easy task. Once upon a time, back in the 80s, before the Sharks and the Lightning and the Senators and the Panthers and the Ducks came in, back in the 80s, 16 out of 21 teams would make the playoffs. Now, 16 out of 32 make the playoffs. And every year, there's a team or two that misses the playoffs. The people are sitting there saying, whew, that team would have given somebody a fit had they gotten in. So again, there are teams missing the playoffs every year that are capable of winning a round or two. It is difficult. And again, those playoff races, they're taking shape right now. We'll talk about who's hot. We've got a major milestone that was hit here recently. We'll talk about that. We've got a big time star who at the time of this recording sounds like he's on the trade block. Who knows what's going to happen there, but we'll talk about his cards coming up here shortly too. We'll check in on what I would say are the driving forces of each series of Upper Deck and three of the driving forces as far as rookie cards go in the hockey card hobby this year when we get to the names Ivan Demidov, Matthew Schaefer, Beckett Seneca. Just three of the biggest driving forces. We know that the young players, the rookies in each class, a lot of times those are the guys that really drive the hobby each year. So we're going to talk about those three coming up here shortly because, again, they were anticipated coming in. They are all delivering, if not exceeding expectations. this season. We'll talk about all three of those. Ivan Demidov, Matthew Schaefer, Beckett Seneca here shortly. We'll have our hobby 3-stars. O-Pee-Chee is out, folks, so we'll talk about that. O-Pee-Chee, great set builder product, a ton of cards in O-Pee-Chee. Huge rookie crop. Obviously, the marquee rookies are a lot of fun in O-Pee-Chee. There's a history to the O-Pee-Chee name. That goes without saying. So again, 25, 26 O-Pee-Chees out. I actually got into an O-Pee-Chee break. I'll talk more about that. I haven't watched it yet, so I don't know how I did. I can't tell you how I did. Maybe next week I'll be able to tell you how I did. Things just got busy, and I didn't get a chance to watch the break. So somewhere out there, somebody knows what cards might be coming my way, but I don't yet. So maybe that's something I get around to checking out here at some point in time. You ever get into breaks and you just don't, you think you're going to have a chance to watch it, you don't, and the cards just show up? Maybe not the most fun way to approach it, but I've had that happen before too. Things happen. Anyways, folks, getting back to the rundown here, we are going to go through the Olympic rosters a little bit. Now, I'm not going to go player by player, but with the Olympics coming up, we are in February. At the time we're recording, we are 10 days out from the first game over in Milan. The NHL pre-Olympic break schedules wrap up middle to late this week. The pre-Olympic trade deadline, if you will, the roster freeze, that's going to be a few days out. At the time of this recording, I believe it'll be 1 day out after this episode drops. So we're getting close to the Olympics. We are going to take a look at the teams that we would, I think a lot of us say, are the big contenders in the Olympics. So we'll talk about some of the Olympic rosters, maybe what each team needs to be successful, needs to do to be successful, maybe what's a weak area that each team has, and we'll identify a player or two from each team that makes them particularly hobby interesting, or we'll identify a player or two from each roster that might stand to gain a lot of recognition in the hobby if that player has a really productive tournament or some big moments, something like that. We'll talk about that coming up a little bit later on. We've got a value vintage pick coming your way, and it's going to have a little bit of an Olympic tie to it, so we'll get to that coming up. And what a value it is. It kind of shocked me a little bit. Piece of history, chance for you to go out and add a really cool, older card. Maybe not vintage, but an older card to your collection. And we are going to rip some packs near the end of the program. Just out, these hobby tins, the Blackhawks Centennial collection from Upper Deck, 15 packs per in these. These are the hobby tins. There are 2 autographs per tin on average. 9 cards a pack, 15 packs in a tin, and it's really cool. So we're going to check these out later on. We'll open a few packs. 15 packs is a lot for one episode, so just to put it out there, I may do we open part of it this week, part of it next week kind of thing. We'll just wait and see how we decide to spread it out there. But I want to share that experience with you because I haven't opened any of this yet, and I think it's a really cool product because, well, first of all, the autograph checklist, for example, the memorabilia, the relic checklist, they're very deep. And going through the checklist, I don't think you need to be a Blackhawks fan to enjoy that product. So we'll talk about that a little bit later on as well. Lots to get to here, but just diving into who's hot and some of the big storylines of the National Hockey League. Patrick Kane, he became the all-time leading point scorer among American-born players, 1,375 points. Back on Thursday at the time of this recording, passed Mike Modano, so first among U.S.-born players. We are going to have a full breakdown in a future episode and take a look maybe at who we deem to be the Mount Rushmore of American-born players. But Patrick Kane passing Mike Modano. You can't tell the story of this era of the National Hockey League without talking about Patrick Kane and the 3 Stanley Cups in Chicago. His nickname Showtime, one of the most fun players to watch in the league, and just an all-world skill set. He's done things handling the puck that, quite honestly, over time, over an extended period of time, we just haven't seen much of in the history of the sport. So as unique a talent as it gets, he has played in Chicago, obviously had that moment in New York, and now a Detroit Red Wing, and looking like he's going to be playing some playoff games this year too. Detroit has itself in a pretty good spot. Still a lot of racetrack to go in this NHL season, but they've positioned themselves pretty well with that Olympic break upcoming. Patrick Kane, looking at the Upper Deck Young Guns rookie cards from 07-08, back to 07-08. The last PSA 10 at the time of our recording per card ladder, all the sales data is per card ladder, $1,108 for the last PSA 10 for a Patrick Kane Young Gun. The last PSA 9 I saw, $321. I think the play might be, if you can stumble into this, the last sale of a BGS 9.5 Gem Mint, $409. So when you look at what the PSA 9 to 10 sold for and the fact that there are BGS 9.5s potentially out there in that range, I think that seems like a pretty decent item to shop for. And again, this is a guy whose legacy is entrenched. He is, again, a guy who's going to the Hall of Fame. He's going to have that plaque in Toronto as soon as the wait time elapses when he is all said and done. But it doesn't look like he's slowing down anytime soon. He's got a lot of meaningful games still to play here. And Patrick Kane, he was big news this week, no question about it. The all-time leading American-born points getter. And we will talk more about that in a later episode. Talk about what he's meant to the hobby, Mike Modano. Talk about some of the other big-time American-born players as well. So, again, Patrick Kane, congratulations to him. He continues to cement an already future Hall of Fame legacy. How about the Buffalo Sabres, folks? We've mentioned them a few times recently. We named Tage Thompson in our hobby 3 stars one week. The Buffalo Sabres, they had that loss to Calgary back on December 8th. They were 11-14-4 at that time. Around that time, they made a change as far as the general manager goes. And now they find themselves in a wild card spot at 31-18-5 at the time of our recording right now. So what a turnaround that's been. The way people are talking about the Buffalo Sabres has completely changed as this season's gone along. And Rasmus Dahlin, their captain, the top pick back in 2018, you knew that he would be, when he was drafted, a part of the future of this team. And he's having a hugely productive season. So I think if we're looking at the Buffalo Sabres, some interesting names. Tage Thompson, we've highlighted him. Josh Doan, a recent rookie as far as the hobby's concerned. And he looks like a guy who might be on his way to being a perennial 30 to 35 goal scorer. He can put the puck in the net. And that was a guy that they acquired in that JJ Peterka trade. But Josh Doan, really nice player. But Rasmus Dahlin, this is one of the more unique defensive talents in the National Hockey League. He can handle every situation. He plays, feels like he never comes off the ice, but he plays over 24 minutes a night for the Buffalo Sabres. His 18-19 Young Guns rookie card number 201. You can get PSA 10s in the $90 to $100 range. You can pick up raw copies of that card in the $30 range for a guy who is going to be a fixture in the National Hockey League and a fixture for the Buffalo Sabres for a long time to come. And it looks like they're onto something. They're in Buffalo. And, another name to take a look at, if you're looking at taking a flyer, who knows what his workload looks like the rest of the year. But I know Ukko Pekka-Luukkonen has been in and out, and he's had an injury lately. Alex Lyon's been red hot and just does not have many cards. That's an interesting market to explore. Did have some autograph cards in 24-25, and he doesn't have much on the market. Without what he's done between the pipes this season, could be a different story for the Buffalo Sabres. When his number's been called, he's been able to find some magic. So just a few names to look at on the Buffalo side as they continue to have quite a turnaround to their season. And right now, they look like they're keeping it rolling. And at the time we're doing this, I'm going to get to see the Sabres in person tomorrow night. Massive game for the Panthers and the Sabres. I feel like we do have new people coming on board each and every week, so I should also mention my day job, if you will. I am the radio play-by-play announcer for the Florida Panthers. I travel with the team everywhere. That's why we're doing the show from home this week. Different concept. We haven't had many home shows since January started, but doing the show from home this week. I do all the Panthers games on the radio. It's my 11th season with the Florida Panthers, so I see them play all the time, and I see, like I said, I get to see everybody else in the league at least a couple of times per season. At the time we're doing this, Buffalo on a Monday night down here in Sunrise. So that's what's coming up. By the way, folks, hope everybody out there staying safe with the wintry conditions that are taking place across the country. I've seen some of the pictures, the videos, the ice storms, the snowstorms in places where you're not typically used to the ice storms and the snowstorms. I know not going to get any sympathy from anybody out there, but for South Florida standards, I'm just outside Fort Lauderdale here in South Florida. And at the time that we hit record here on Nonsense on Ice, it was 40 degrees with a feels like temperature of 32, and it's supposed to get down even colder here, and it's extremely windy outside. So I guess what I'm getting at here, I'm not asking for sympathy there, because I know a lot of you are feeling a lot colder and more wintry and harsh temperatures and conditions than we are here. But when I woke up and I saw that, I'm thinking, okay, if it's 40 here, then it's got to be really cold in a lot of other locales. So again, hope everybody out there is staying safe. And believe me, over the course of January, I've been to Winnipeg, I've been to Minnesota, I've been to Chicago, I've been to St. Louis. I've had a chance to feel some harsh winter temperatures as well as this month has gone along. So mentioning a few of the names there, guys that are staying hot at the time we're doing this. Minnesota's coming off a big win over Edmonton. Jesper Wallstedt had a big night in net, and the Wild put up 7 goals against the Oilers. They're obviously a team to watch. As things go along here, Boston, they've been red hot. That's an interesting team moving forward. David Pasternak's been outstanding. So again, a lot of interesting storylines, and these playoff races are just in full force, especially in the Eastern Conference. Sorry, Rangers fans, but I feel like they're the only team that really isn't in this thing. And that kind of takes me to my next point here. Artemi Panarin, at the time we're recording, looks like no move has been made, but it sounds like there is potential interest in moving the 34-year-old all-world talent who is going along over a point a game this season. Now, this kind of surprised me, just based on the fact that he's played in 2 big markets, played in Chicago, burst onto the scene there. He had the productive time in Columbus, went to New York. They made it to a conference final a couple of years ago, just haven't gotten over that hump, and it looks like the days with the Rangers might be coming to an end. But he's played in some big markets. He has been an electrifying talent over the course of his career. Was surprised to see that PSA 10s of his 15-16 Upper Deck Young Guns rookie card, you can grab those under $100. BGS 9.5s I saw around short of $50. For a guy like that, that seemed a little bit mind-boggling in a sense. But I guess for a guy that didn't come over, as young as a lot of guys debut, and hasn't won a Stanley Cup yet. He is an all-world electrifying talent, but I think he's one of those guys that if at some point between now and the end of Artemi Panarin's career, if he does get a Stanley Cup, that might change the whole conversation. But right now, those PSA 10 Young Guns can be had at a pretty friendly price. So just something to keep an eye on out there. You might stumble into a bargain somewhere, whether it's online at a card show, wherever you're out doing your shopping. So Artemi Panarin, monitor that story as a hockey fan. Should be interesting as we get closer and closer to that early March trade deadline. There will be a roster freeze over the course of the Olympic break. Keep that in mind as well. As far as who's hot, checking in on some of the names driving the hobby this year. The rookies always have such a hand in driving everything as each hobby year goes by. Series 1 was a really deep, and when I say Series 1, Upper Deck flagship Series 1, the Young Guns, always so sought after. If you're a new collector coming in, that would kind of be the first direction I'd point you. If you're coming in looking for hockey cards, where do I start? Where do I begin? Well, Upper Deck flagship offers you great player selection, cool inserts, really good bang for the buck price. You buy a hobby box, you're getting 6 Young Guns on average per box, and with how deep this crop of Young Guns was in Series 1, you're probably getting at least 1 to 2 of what I would consider to be the top tier of Young Guns. Guys like Demidov, Parekh, go down the list, Jimmy Snuggerud, Ryan Leonard, those kind of players. But Ivan Demidov was the sought-after guy from the get-go, and for good reason. He's a Montreal Canadian. His skill set is off the charts. His ceiling is truly superstar potential. And his 25-26 Upper Deck Young Guns 205 still raw in the $125 to $150 range. Some of you probably saw that video on Instagram at the Winter Classic when I opened a Series 1 blaster and happened to stumble into that card. I don't always get, actually, that is the exception, not the rule. That is not a true reflection of what my pack luck normally is. But to pull a Demidov Young Guns out of a blaster, I was pretty excited about that. Still selling around the $125 to $150 range. The holiday green foil, we opened some of that last week. The holiday edition of Series 1. That green foil, $200 to $250 right now. Now, the thing with him, there are going to be a lot of rookie cards coming out for Demidov over the course of the year because he was a Series 1 guy. He's going to have a lot of cards. He's going to be in a lot of products, but that Young Guns card is still going to be one of the most sought after ones when the dust settles. At the time we're doing this, 45 points in 55 games. And he's formed a really nice second line in Montreal with Oliver Kapanen, who's a rookie in the 24-25 products, and Juraj Slavkovsky, the top pick back in 2022. So a great line there behind the Suzuki, Caulfield, whoever they throw in on that other wing in Montreal. It's a very exciting young team. And I've said it time and time again. If you are an impartial observer, or maybe if your favorite team plays out west and you're just kicking back, watching your center ice package, whatever it might be, and you're looking for entertainment value, this Montreal team, whether it's a good night, a bad night for them, whatever it might be, their games always seem to be interesting. And Ivan Demidov is one of the names right in the middle of that. He's been getting good power play time all season too. So again, at his age, to be shy of a point a game, there are a lot of other guys putting up points on that team too. That's the other thing. So those points got to go around to everybody. He's a little under a point a game, but he's on an exciting team, looks to be a long-term piece of what they're building there in Montreal. And that team is probably ahead of schedule in terms of where it was supposed to be at this point in time. Last year, making the playoffs, and this year continuing to be a team that looks like it's on its way to becoming a contender. As long as they get goaltending, they're dangerous. But anyway, getting back to it, a little bit of a tangent. Ivan Demidov, driving Series 1, still looking like a good buy if you're out searching for his cards, if you're ripping the packs, just seeing how many Demidovs you can pull. I think that's a good player with a very long-term bright future ahead of him. Matthew Schaefer, speaking of players with long-term bright futures, this guy just continues to wow all of us every single day. And we've talked about him a lot in the long and storied history of Nonsense on Ice, which, if you can believe it, dates all the way back to November. But we've been talking about him a lot. His name's been mentioned on most of our episodes in some capacity or another. And he'll be the driving force in Upper Deck Series 2, and that comes out, that checklist leaked, and he's going to have a young gun in Series 2, and that's going to be out in March. And again, that's going to be a huge chase when that card comes out. And I believe, just based on what he's done on the ice, the performance he's turned in so far as a true 18-year-old, and the fact that he's doing it in a very difficult position to learn. He's an Islander, so he's doing it in New York. Again, you go back and read Matthew Schaefer's story and some of the things that he's overcome, naturally is the kind of guy that you root for. And you hear him do interviews, and he's an incredibly likable person. So he's really got everything, as far as somebody that I think people are going to truly identify with over time. He's going to draw a lot of people to him. And also his ability on the ice to do what he's doing at 18, to have 15 goals in 55 games. At the time we're doing this, 37 points in 55 games in the National Hockey League as a true 18-year-old playing that position. That is an unbelievable sign of things to come. So when you look at a guy like Matthew Schaefer, you look at it as, okay, the Islanders seem to have found their Victor Hedman, for example, their cornerstone defensive player that's going to be entrenched for a long time to come, and the ceiling is truly limitless for him. He's going to be a superstar for a decade plus. His Upper Deck Allure cards, we'll get to some of the big sales on Schaefer Allure singles here shortly because he's been driving that product. But he is starting to have some cards hit the market, $20 to $40 on that extended rookie out of Allure. That's what those are typically selling for. I will say the red-orange color flow. The color flows are really attractive out of Allure, but the red-orange color flow with the Islanders jersey, you kind of get a color match to that. That is a really sharp, aesthetically pleasing card. I know it's not the base rookie card in Allure, but it does have an RC on it, and it's just a really sharp-looking card with the Islanders colors. So I think if you don't get the base, that's another direction you can look. Allure, super clean looking cards. And those extended rookies look really nice. But it'll be interesting as more product comes along, maybe how the price of those are affected and how the prices of the Schaefer cards continue to go. We'll get to some of those Allure prices here in a moment. And I would imagine Beckett Seneca is going to be an extended series guy. He's in O-Pee-Chee, wasn't in Series 1, doesn't look like he's going to be in Series 2. So Beckett Seneca, card number 581 in the O-Pee-Chee that just came out. Anaheim, not the cheapest team in an O-Pee-Chee break, but if you were to buy into the Ducks in a case break, not a bad team to go for because Beckett Seneca obviously has a base rookie and he's in some of the insert sets as well. He's also got an MVP silver card. Those were from the CDD conference, number 253 in that set. So you go online, those are probably the two cards you're going to see the most, the Upper Deck MVP silver and the O-Pee-Chee if you're surfing around right now looking for those. Still a little too early to get into the sales. Like I said, O-Pee-Chee just came out, so the dust hasn't fully settled on that. So much of that is still getting ripped, purchased, broken, everything like that. So not going to get too much into the pricing, but 43 points in 54 games for a Ducks team that, as you'd expect, they've had their ups and downs. They stormed out of the gate this season, and it's always interesting, especially with a young team ahead of schedule. Storm out of the gate, have a nice cushion in the division, you think. But then once you have won a lot of games and there starts to be some semblance of pressure and maybe a feeling of, okay, we've got this record, now we're supposed to start winning the games, it gets a little tougher for a young team sometimes to maintain that consistency naturally over the course of a year. Anaheim's endured that. And one of the stabilizing forces that's helped them weather the storm, we're going to get to him in our Hobby 3 Stars shortly. But Beckett Seneca is going to be front and center for this Ducks team for a long time. They are exciting. Talked about Montreal. Talked about them being a team that you flip them on the TV, you're going to get entertained, no doubt about that. Anaheim, same thing. Beckett Seneca, Cutter Gauthier. I know Leo Carlson's been out with an injury, but a lot of exciting young players, exciting young defensemen. And again, we'll be talking about one of the Ducks here in our Hobby 3 Stars shortly. But checking in on what you figure to have as three of the driving force rookies in the 25-26 products, Demidov, Schaefer, Seneca, they all look like hits. Those guys look like hits. I don't think I see any misses between the three of them. Those three guys look like they are going to be hits on the ice, hits in the hobby, hits for their fan bases, and hits for the National Hockey League. The number of young stars we have in the game right now, it's just mind-boggling. But again, getting back to Matthew Schaefer, Allure has been out for a couple of weeks now. I've had a chance to sing the praises of Upper Deck Allure quite a bit. Love the product. I've had, I want to say at this point, 5 or 6 different teams in partial case breaks, and I've really had a lot of fun with it. Some of those have gone great, some haven't. I wanted to show some of the Upper Deck Allure hits that I had because I mentioned on last week's episode, I had the Rangers. I got a really good deal on the Rangers in a half case break with our friends at Mojo Break. And I hit a Gabe Perreault blue line rookie auto to 35. And in that same break, there were only 8 autographs pulled in the break because you get an autograph per box or you get a doubloon. And each half case usually has 8 autographs in one doubloon, and that's how it was. There were 8 autographs in the break, and I ended up with 3 of them. I never have that kind of luck. One was the Gabe Perreault to 35. One was an Alexis Lafreniere auto. And then rookie defenseman Matthew Robertson had an auto of him in there as well. I was going to show them today, but maybe a lot of you out there are noticing, I think because of the extreme weather conditions across the middle of the country, it looks like my hits from that break are taking a little bit of a hiatus in Memphis right now. So hopefully I'll get those at some point soon, but it seems like a lot of delays as far as shipping is concerned due to the weather conditions across the country. So maybe next week we'll be able to show those to you, some of the hits from Allure. But getting back to Matthew Schaefer, some of the big sales out of Allure that have taken place on Matthew Schaefer cards, and it kind of gives you an indication of things to come for Schaefer and the hype that there continues to be around his cards. But you had a blue line autograph to 35 back on the 18th of January, $14.99, and not $14.99. I mean, $1,499 on that. A couple days after that, on the 21st, a purple diamond non-auto out of 10 sold for $1,450. You had a purple diamond auto to 10 a few days back, $1,459. There were 3 other Blue Line Auto to 35 sales between the $875 and $1,255 range. So again, most of the big sales out of Allure have been Matthew Schaefer cards, and I think all of those are signs of what's to come as far as his market is concerned. So again, as the cards continue to come out, seems like one of those guys. I would tell you, I don't think there's going to be a bad Matthew Schaefer card, and I don't think ripping 25-26 hockey products is ever going to be a bad idea, because this rookie class is so deep, and you have a chance to get Schaefer, Demidov cards, things like that. So again, have fun with it, but there is a pretty high ceiling to what's out there and what you can chase. So speaking of products, O-Pee-Chee just came out. Since the last time we talked to you on Nonsense on Ice, on a matter of fact, O-Pee-Chee did just come out. 600 card set. So this is a great set for set builders. 1 through 500 are the base, and then you've got a shorter printed 501 to 600 in the set. And that portion of the set's made up of Four Nations Face-Off. That's a subset in there. There are marquee rookies in there. Again, you have lots of different things like that you can pursue in O-Pee-Chee. There are a lot of different parallels. Some of those are hobby exclusive and numbered. You've got one-of-ones. You've got the yellow parallels in the blasters. I'd imagine those retail blasters, if they haven't hit the market yet, those might be out there, and a great place for you to get out and sample a product as well. So you can look for those, and you do have the yellow parallels that you can find in the blasters. You've got the retro variations that are 1 per pack in hobby and 1 in 2 packs in a blaster. So there are a lot of different variations to look for. You've got a lot of different insert sets. And I think what makes it really exciting is, no matter what, you have that deep rookie class, and you're going to get in whatever product you're buying, whether it's the blaster, the fat pack, the hobby, whatever it is, you're going to get a handful of rookies out of this deep rookie class. So a chance to get some of the big names that I've already mentioned here. As far as value break spots for the week, sometimes I reserve this for later on in the show, but because we're on the topic of the new O-Pee-Chee, I'm going to get to it right now. Some of the teams that I think are the value break spots in O-Pee-Chee. I had mentioned that I was in an O-Pee-Chee break that I've just not had a chance to watch yet. Pittsburgh is the team that I had there. Ben Kindle has rookie cards. Mentioning an 18-year-old with a bright future, talked about Matthew Schaefer a little bit ago. Ben Kindle's got 12 goals this season as a true 18-year-old, and what a learning course in the National Hockey League to be able to go to Pittsburgh and be an 18-year-old, make the roster, and have a chance to just observe what Sidney Crosby does every single day. No better way to learn the ways of the National Hockey League than that if you are Ben Kindle. But Ben Kindle's a rookie in there. He's got a marquee rookies card. You can chase that. Harrison Brunick as well. Those are a couple of guys who are going to be chases in Series 2 Upper Deck Flagship when it comes out. And then you've got Ville Koivunen as well, who's got a ceiling. So you got 3 rookies, 2 of them still teenagers. Kindle a first rounder, Brunick a second rounder, and then Koivunen, who's been up and down between the NHL and the American League this season, who has a decently high offensive upside. He was a young gun in Series 1. So you've got the rookies to chase, and then you've got also the kind of safety net, if you will, in the break. Pittsburgh has a lot of cards, and obviously Crosby's in there. Malkin's in there. So a chance to hit parallels of them, inserts of them. Sidney Crosby's in a lot of the insert sets and things like that. So there are a lot of different cards you can hit, and that's why I felt like Pittsburgh was a pretty good value spot to pursue in a break, whether you're a Penguins fan or not. That might be an avenue to look down. Similar scenario with Edmonton. Isaac Howard, the 2025 Hobey Baker winner, and Quinn Hudson, who's having a nice season in the American League. The 2 of them have marquee rookies cards. So, and then you obviously have McDavid and Draisaitl in the set. Same thing, like I said, with Malkin and Crosby. When you've got McDavid and Draisaitl in the team set, chance to hit parallels of them, inserts of them, things like that. So, again, a good place to be if you're looking for a value break spot. Edmonton could be one. The Rangers could be one as well. Gabe Perreault has a pretty high ceiling as a rookie first-round pick not that long ago. 20 years old still, I believe. High offensive upside. And he's going to get, as the season goes on, you'd think more opportunity if the Rangers start to sell off a few pieces. So the Rangers are a good team as far as the break goes. Nashville's got 4 rookies, 4 key rookies. You look back at the three who were young guns in Series 1. So you have Matthew Wood, you've got Joakim Kemmel, you've got Ozzy Weisblatt, but the 5th overall pick in the last draft, Brady Martin as well, is in there. So it makes Nashville an attractive team in the breaks because of the depth of their individual rookie class as a team. So those are some of the break spots. O-Pee-Chee's really exciting. A lot of different parallels. Like I said, huge player selection. You've got the history in the hobby that you get with the O-Pee-Chee name. So again, that's an exciting one. Hobby 3 stars time, folks. Let's get right to it with the Hobby 3 stars. 3 players, all headed to Milan from different countries. Let's start it off with a man who will be playing for Team USA, Matt Boldy. Should sniff 40 goals this season. He had a career-high 31 in 22-23. He's got 29 goals in 52 games at the time of this recording. He's big, he's strong, moves up and down the ice really well. He kills penalties. Had a chance to see him play in person not too long ago. He's always very noticeable. Matt Boldy of the Minnesota Wild, a guy to watch. And well, his 22-23 Upper Deck Young Guns number 201, you can pick up raw versions of that card in the $20 neighborhood. So I feel like that's a pretty safe buy of a guy that if Team USA has a big showing at the Olympics, this might be something we talk about here in a few moments, could get a chance to get more recognition in the hobby. But he's been a guy who's been chased since his rookie stuff was out. Matt Boldy, a guy to keep an eye on. He leads off our Hobby 3 stars this week. Another guy who's going to be Olympic bound. Goaltender from the Anaheim Ducks, talked about stabilizing forces in Anaheim. Lukáš Dostál, he'll be playing for Czechia at the upcoming Olympic Games. Now, they are deep in net. We'll see what direction they go as to who's going to get the lion's share of the minutes in the goal crease for Czechia. But Lukáš Dostál's had a nice season for Anaheim. They've gotten hot lately. They picked up wins more often than not here recently. His Young Guns rookie card number 203 also from the 22-23 hobby year. Raws in the $5 to $10 range. So a bargain there, if you ask me, for a guy that looks like he's going to be getting every opportunity to be Anaheim's long-term fixture in net. Lukáš Dostál. You can pick up the raw Young Guns, $5 to $10. You can pick up raw copies of his Future Watch Auto to $9.99 in the high 60s. The last couple sales, $66 and $70 per card ladder. So again, good upside there, it seems, with a goaltender who seems like going to be the franchise goaltender in Anaheim. Will have the opportunity to be for a number of years to come. Nick Suzuki of the Montreal Canadiens, one of the guys across the league that I think all hockey fans can look at Nick Suzuki, the way he goes about his business, the way he plays, the way he competes. Whether you're a Canadiens fan or not, you can't help but admire this guy. Like I said, the way he goes about it every single day. Great leadership qualities. You can tell the players on the Montreal Canadiens fall in line right behind their captain, Nick Suzuki. His 2019-20 Young Guns rookie card, number 471, raws around $100. This is a card that has been picking up steam for a long time. PSA 10s, the last sale of a PSA 10 that I saw January 29th, about $285. 64 points in 55 games, has a chance to top the 89 points, the career high he had last year when he played all 82. Nick Suzuki on our Hobby 3 stars this week. And like I said, one of those guys you can't help but admire the way he goes about his business every single day. And he plays in a huge hockey-crazed market in Montreal, and he wears the C on his jersey, and he is going to be a big part of the Canadiens for a long time to come. Your Hobby 3 stars this week, Matt Boldy, Lukáš Dostál, and Nick Suzuki. Folks, before we get into touching on the Olympic rosters here a little bit, I wanted to get into a topic here. I don't want to spend too much time on it because it's probably going to be something that we look back on episode to episode in some capacity or another, because it's something that we probably, depending on how heavily you are in the hobby or if you're just casually in the hobby, it's something you probably have wondered about, maybe something you do, maybe something that you always have on your to-do list. And that is grading. And taking it a step further, thinking about what to grade. And this is something that folks always, ask me, I have this card, should I get it graded? The answer to that question varies, depending on what your goals are, what you want to do with the card, everything like that. But I can tell you right now, when I'm sizing up cards to grade personally, whether it's something I'm going to try and sell or if it's something that I plan to keep forever or I plan to keep for a long time, which a lot of the cards, I'm going to show you some cards. I like to keep some cards set aside that I think have a chance to grade well, because when I feel like sending them out, I want to have some stuff ready. But when I am going through cards that I want to grade, whatever my intention is with the card, obviously this can change with vintage, but if we're talking about new stuff, we're talking about ultra modern, we're talking about modern stuff from the last 20 to 25 years, anything like that, I look at the centering first. I don't know about you, but I look at the centering first. And I feel like I have a decent eye for it. But if it looks worse than 60-40, if it's at all noticeable that it's off center in any direction, I'm probably just going to keep the card raw, sell the card raw. I'm not going to spend the money to get that card graded. Now, if it's a card that is a huge card, if we're talking about a 3-figure, 4-figure, 5-figure card, or a sought after vintage card, a rare vintage card, or a card that's just really rare to begin with, could change the way you approach it. But if I'm looking at certain cards, let me get some out here. If I'm looking at certain cards that aren't rare, maybe it's something I just want to have graded for my personal collection, I am going to look at centering first. So I'm going to look at something here like this one. See, this is a card that's not rare at all, but it's a player that I like, and it's a card from when I was growing up, and it's been sitting here in my potential grade stash for a long time. And again, this is something I could probably just go and buy, but I wouldn't mind getting a PSA 10 of it. And I think this one looks like it's got a shot. The centering looks really good. This is a Teemu Selanne rookie card from 91-92 Upper Deck. And when I'm skimming through a box and I see a card like that that's centered really well, I might stop and pull that aside, or that might make me consider it more. If that card's off center at all, I'm moving by it. And that doesn't mean I'm going to get rid of the card. That doesn't mean we're not just going to give the card away, nothing like that. It just means it's probably not going to be in the grade stash. If I'm looking at another card, here's something new. And a lot of you might, this is a polarizing one. There are a lot of people who would tell me just not to worry about grading this, but the only one of one that I have ever pulled, hit, anything like that. It is a Golden Treasures 1 of 1, Andrei Svechnikov out of 22-23 O-Pee-Chee Platinum. For our YouTube audience, getting a look at that on the screen. This was hit through Mojo Break. The centering looks perfect. I wouldn't even think about grading it if I didn't think it could get a 10. Centering looks great. So then once the centering's great, then I'll look at the other factors, the edges, the surface, the corners. Obviously, if you have a card that's got a terrible corner, that's going to be the first thing you notice, and you can toss it right out of the grading discussion immediately. But for me, I tend to look at centering first. And if the centering looks off, then I don't even have to spend any time on it. I don't have to worry about it for the rest or for a future grading conversation, thought process, whatever you want to call it. Here's an older one. And again, he's a Hall of Famer, but not exactly Hall of Famer, not a rookie card or anything like that. But I think this one for this set, card looks really clean, but it's a Bob Gainey 1980-81 O-Pee-Chee. And these are tough gems, but this card looks really good. The centering was the first thing I noticed. If the centering were off, I would never even think about grading a card like this, because it is just a base card, maybe worth a few bucks because he's a Hall of Famer and a Montreal guy, and he was a part of those dynasty teams in Montreal in the late 70s and things like that, and had a great career. But if this card's off-centered, I'm probably not even going to consider it. But because for that set, looks really good, I might take a look at that. So just a few different ones. Now on the flip side of that, there's some things that this card's not centered perfectly, but it's a vintage card of a player who's a household name, especially to Rangers fans, but an Eddie Jockeman. That is the 68-69. So just a really cool card. I think it would look great in a slab. Not centered perfectly, but I wouldn't expect this card to 10 anyways. Little bit of a tangent that I'm on here. But again, as far as what to grade if it's a new card for me, unless it's something extremely rare or something that's extremely expensive that you just want to get slabbed for authenticity, the first thing I'm looking at is the centering. And if that centering looks off, I'm taking it out of consideration. All right, Olympic rosters. We're getting so multimedia here, folks, because we've got obviously the main source of recording this. I'm looking at a camera right now, and I've got, throwing it back several decades, my notebook with paper, my spiral notebook, if you can believe it. I actually got to the end. So I'm going to have to go to the store and buy another one, assuming they still sell these things. I'm sure they still do. I know they still do. But I need a new notebook. We're at the end. I'm on to this episode took me right to the last page of the notebook. So good thing I didn't make any mistakes. And I've got this tablet here that I barely use. And we are going to go through some of the Olympic rosters here. And I'm not going to go player by player because we would be here for a really long time if I did that. So we are going to go through the teams that I deem to be the contenders. We are going to go through some of the teams that I think are particularly hobby interesting. And with each of the big teams, how could they win? What makes them strong? How could they be exposed? Maybe where are they lacking? And a name or two that stands to really see a potential, I guess, hobby increase in recognition if that player, if that team does something, if that player has big moments in the Olympics. And that doesn't have to be a gold medal in the case of some of these. And I'll get to that coming up here in a couple of moments. But first and foremost, folks, get into some of the big contenders. Team Canada, and you break it down so many different directions, however you want to look at it. I think the world, or I should say North America, wants this. But a Canada-USA gold medal game looks, to me, that would be what I would expect. Those are, to me, the two best overall rosters. Canada, to me, seems like if they get the saves, Binnington, Kemper, Logan Thompson, if they get the saves from whoever it is, then they should have enough everywhere else to win the tournament. They are just loaded. Their offensive eliteness is so good. They are so deep up front. But anyway, we're going to get to going down the list, and Team Canada is where we're going to start, getting to that. But you have a team that has Crosby, that has McDavid, that has Nathan McKinnon, that has Macklin Celebrini, did end up making the team. Defensively, they are absolutely loaded. When you have a roster that has that kind of depth to it, it's going to be a difficult one to contend with, no doubt about it, if you're an opponent going up against Team Canada, because they have so many different ways they can beat you. Get into the Canada roster here right now. As far as players whose stock could rise the most, Sidney Crosby is an interesting one because I know his values are so entrenched, so cemented. His legacy is cemented. This wouldn't be his first gold medal if he won one. He had the golden goal back in 2010 in Vancouver. If he has a big moment, it's not going to be his first big Olympic moment. He has 3 Stanley Cup rings. In my mind, he is the 5th best player in the history, or I should say, he's in the top 5 best players in the history of the sport. How you want to order that top 5 is kind of up for your own interpretation. But to me, he is in the top 5 best players to ever play. But if he wins another gold medal and in the National Hockey League has another point per game season, you start to feel like we're getting into that sort of territory like Tom Brady did near the end when, he was into his 40s, but still just putting up big numbers and still winning championships and things like that. Where does the Crosby hobby recognition go? I'm not sure. That being said, I don't think you can ever go wrong picking up Sidney Crosby cards. Players that have a chance to really gain recognition, though, if Canada were to win a gold, whoever's between the pipes would be a really interesting one. If it's Jordan Binnington, this is a really interesting case because he's won a Stanley Cup, a Blues team in 2019 that would not have won a Stanley Cup without him doing what he did, and he won a Game 7 to win that Stanley Cup. What he did in the Four Nations last year, if he were to backstop Team Canada to a gold medal, then you're looking at quite a clutch resume and a very interesting resume when you'll be able to look back at the career of Jordan Binnington. So those are a couple of the names I think to keep an eye on. Obviously, I'm not breaking any ground there. Canada's offensive depth makes them extremely difficult to deal with. So like I said, I think for Team Canada, how they win, health, and the big guns producing, because they are so deep offensively. What area could make them fall short? Goaltending, if they don't get the saves, because some of the other teams have maybe bigger names between the pipes, but there's some clutch ability. Jordan Binnington's got a ring. Darcy Kemper's got a ring. Logan Thompson wasn't playing for Vegas in the playoffs a couple of years ago when they won the Stanley Cup, but he was on that team and really good for them during the regular season and all-star during that regular season. So he's been on a team that went on to win a Stanley Cup. I believe at my count, 16 players on Team Canada's roster have Stanley Cup rings. So it's an experienced group too. Short tournament. If you have a couple of bad games, that could put you behind the eight ball. But to me, Team Canada goes in as the favorite. They are the team to beat. We'll see how things play out. But again, their offensive upside and their elite talent in every position, not breaking any ground, that's what makes them difficult. But if they don't get the saves, and that's the case for anybody, maybe that's where they could be exploited a little bit. So Team Canada there. Team USA, looking at their roster here, Team USA, how could they win it? Well, if they have a little bit flip side of Team Canada, if they get the best goaltending in the tournament, then they could win the tournament, because their roster, it's incredibly deep too. It's not that far off from what Team Canada can throw at you. Their defense is loaded. Brock Faber, Quinn Hughes, Jake Sanderson, Jacob Slavin, Zach Werenski. It's a loaded group of defensemen. Connor Hellebuck, Jake Ottinger, Jeremy Swayman. There are three game-breaking goaltenders there, three guys with big upside. Connor Hellebuck, some folks would still say multiple-time Vezina winner. Maybe that's the best goaltender. Maybe he hasn't shown it this season necessarily. Numbers haven't been there. He did have an injury at one point in time, but his elite might be the best elite that there is. Team USA, how could they win? If they get the best goaltending from Connor Hellebuck, if he ends up being the guy or whoever that guy might be. Guys that could see their hobby stock rise if they have a big moment, or if they have, again, if they win a gold medal. From Team USA, and I know that a lot of you folks out there might say this is a little bit of a biased claim, but you look at these last few years. Since the 22-23 season, Matthew Tkachuk has been to a cup final in 2023 and had some amazing clutch moments during that run that just fell short. Won a Stanley Cup in 2024 and 25. If Team USA were to win an Olympic gold this year, and you know the way Matthew plays, everything he does on the ice is interesting. Everything he does on the ice jumps off the TV screen at you. He plays with great emotion. He plays with an edge, and he's a guy that kind of draws people to him in a lot of different ways. He's just an interesting player to watch, and he's got a great personality to go along with it. If Team USA were to win a gold medal, Matthew Tkachuk, you look at that 4-year run. It goes 3 Stanley Cup final appearances and then a gold medal over the course of 4 seasons. Not many guys in history will have had a 4-year run quite like that. So he becomes he already is to me a really interesting hobby name, and a guy that to me is a guy whose cards would be a great add to anybody's collection. But Matthew Tkachuk is a player who, if Team USA wins a gold medal, if they win it, he's going to be front and center. And the big moments, he seems to rise to the occasion when those big moments are there. That's a name to keep an eye on, because if he has a big tournament and helps propel Team USA to a gold medal, I think you're going to see his star rise even more than it already has. Zach Werenski, another one. He's been on a Blue Jackets team that has not had deep playoff runs. I mean, they're a team that's missed the playoffs a handful of times, but he's the next guy. If we're looking at defensemen in the NHL that can bring you out of your seat, Cale Makar, Quinn Hughes, Zach Werenski is in that conversation, and year after year puts up massive numbers. If Team USA were to win a gold medal, Zach Werenski would, without a doubt, be a key part of it. So those are a couple of names on Team USA to keep an eye on. We're going to go a little bit more quickly here, because we've been talking for a long time here on Nonsense on Ice. Team Sweden, I think if there is another team that has the best chance to break into that gold medal game, if it's not USA or Canada, I think Sweden is a team that could get there. Now, no Leo Carlsson. That is a big blow. But you look at this lineup, they have guys that can put the puck in the net. Adrian Kempe, Philip Forsberg, Lucas Raymond, players like that. They've got centermen that can play a defensive, responsible game that can grind you down. I'm looking at names like Joel Eriksson-Ek. I'm looking at Alex Wenberg. I'm looking at Mika Zibanejad, for example. Big guys, Elias Lindholm. They have a lot of good two-way players. They have some scores. They're deep on defense, especially if Victor Hedman's healthy, and they're solid in net. Whether it's Philip Gustafsson, Jesper Wallstedt, Jacob Markstrom, whoever it is, they're going to have a capable guy in between the pipes. So Sweden, like I said, they can grind you. This is a team that can defend really well. What could hold them back? Again, no Leo Carlsson's a big blow, and maybe their elite offensive punch just isn't quite what USA and Canada have collectively, but they could get there. Sweden is a really good roster. Team Finland, this is a team that, to me, not only did the Alexander Barkov injury preseason impact the National Hockey League, the Eastern Conference, the Atlantic Division, the Florida Panthers, but the Alexander Barkov injury, and I was just gutted for Sasha when this happened. But when he went down with that injury might have changed Team Finland in the Olympics more, or changed the Olympics landscape in a way, the Olympic hockey landscape more than anything else could have. To me, with Barkov in the lineup, Finland is a gold medal contender without question. Could they still find a way to get there? Absolutely. It's a loaded lineup. But with Barkov in that lineup, that would be the guy that would get the tough matchup every single night, going up against whoever the best line on the opposition was. So no Barkov for Team Finland. That changed the dynamic there a little bit. How could they win? Similar to how Team Finland can win. This is a team that has a lot of really responsible two-way players on it. If they can defend well and keep the games tight, they'll have an opportunity to beat anybody on a given night. What could hold them back? Like I said, if they had Barkov, to me, this is a team that could win a gold medal, no doubt about it. Hobby names that could really continue to capture people's attention. Oliver Kapanen is an interesting one, folks, because he's having a really nice year, probably ahead of schedule for the Montreal Canadiens. I'm not sure Montreal knew that he would do this soon for them. If Finland makes a deep run in the Olympics, Oliver Kapanen could be a key guy. Anton Lundell with the Panthers has played more playoff games than anybody from that 2020 draft class. He's got 2 rings, and with no Barkov on Team Finland, I'd imagine he might draw some of the toughest defensive assignments as far as the centermen are concerned. Sebastian Aho is another one that's an interesting one too, because Carolina hasn't gotten over the hump in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And I think a Stanley Cup is what it would take to most propel the market of a guy like Sebastian Aho. But if he has a big Olympic moment, that could draw some more attention his way, because he's a heck of a hockey player. And again, point-of-game guy, key part of what Carolina does. And in the Olympics, it's going to increase the eyeballs on a lot of guys that maybe don't get attention night to night in the National Hockey League, or as much attention as they should. It's going to take some under-the-radar guys and maybe put them more on the radar. And a guy like Sebastian Aho just goes about every night, puts up a point a game, goes about his business. It's a tournament that could really elevate the status and the hobby of a guy like that. Czechia is an interesting one, folks, because if they were going to make a deep run, David Pastrnak would, without a doubt, have to do a lot of the heavy lifting. He's a key player. David Pastrnak, Marty Necas. So those are key names to keep an eye on. But defensively, just not as deep as a lot of the other teams. They're good in net, whether it's Lukáš Dostal, who we talked about a little bit ago, Karel Vejmelka, Dan Vladar, whoever it is. They're going to have a quality goaltender they can put out there every single night. So that could keep them in games. But I just don't think the depth is there to match up against the 4 teams that I've already mentioned. From a hobby perspective, I don't know that they're a contender to win a gold medal yet. That being said, as the years go on, this is a team that I fully expect to become stronger and stronger. But from a hobby perspective, Team Slovakia is interesting, folks. And here's why. Back in 22-23, Whether you were ripping the products, getting into breaks, buying singles, I'm sure a lot of you were chasing Uri Slafkovsky cards. Well, if they were to make a deep run, if they were to surprise somebody, you figure that Slafkovsky could be a guy who's front and center. So he's very hobby relevant. His rookie cards are recent. He was a top pick. There were a lot of folks out there chasing his cards. He's ascending as far as the National Hockey League's concerned, plays in a big market. But again, he's going to be a player to watch, and that makes Slovakia particularly hobby interesting. And another name there, Dalibor Dvorsky. A lot of you ripping the hockey products for this year. Maybe you're getting the blues and breaks because you're going after Jimmy Snuggerud cards, and that's fine because I think Jimmy Snuggerud's got a really bright future ahead of him. But Dalibor Dvorsky was a first rounder of the Blues as well, and he's about a year and a half younger than Jimmy Snuggerud. And he's an exciting young player who's got a young gun in Series 1 this year. That's going to be another name that maybe if he were to have a big moment in the Olympics, you might see some more eyeballs on him. So that makes Slovakia particularly interesting. You've got a couple of guys that have recent rookie cards in the hobby that a lot of us have pulled from packs, been out looking for singles of. Some names to keep an eye on for Team Slovakia. Germany's an interesting one because you do have top-end guys across the board. I just don't think they have the depth that some of the other teams have, but you've got Leon Draisaitl in the middle. You've got Mo Seider on the back end. He's going to play a lot. Philip Grubauer's an NHL goaltender between the pipes for them. So they have some big-time guys at key positions, just maybe not the overall lineup that some of the other teams have. Team worth watching, no doubt about it, though, and a team that could surprise somebody and could make a run. So worth keeping an eye on Team Germany. A lot of NHLers across the board, Team Switzerland, Latvia, Denmark. There are going to be a lot of names on those teams. But again, getting back to it, to me, Canada is the team to beat. And if somebody's going to beat them, Team USA is the team that has the best chance. I think Sweden and Finland are particularly dangerous. The four teams that played in the Four Nations face-off, to me, are the four teams that have the best chance to win an Olympic gold. And if there are some other names you're looking at as far as the hobby's concerned and as far as this Olympic tournament is concerned, send them my way. I'd love to hear about it at Doug Plagens on the Twitter X platform, at Doug Plagens on Instagram, and or you can leave a comment. And while you're at it, subscribe, give us your feedback, give us a rating, all those things. Folks, with that, in mentioning the Olympics, we're going to get quickly to a value vintage pick, and then we are going to rip a few packs of the newly released Hobby Tin. It's the Blackhawks Centennial Collection Hobby Tin from Upper Deck. Nonsense on Ice, presented by our friends at Upper Deck. Folks, the value vintage pick this week has a bit of an Olympic tie to it. 1980-81 O-Pee-Chee and Tops. Now remember, the O-Pee-Chee actually had one of those cards. This is not the card, but to give you an idea, O-Pee-Chee, here's the Guy Lafleur from 80-81. The O-Pee-Chee, the name, you can see it. It's right there on the little puck in the corner. The Tops came with the name blacked out. You had to scratch it. So if you're buying the Tops, my advice to you would be to find unscratched versions of that card. The O-Pee-Chee, you didn't have to deal with the scratching of the name or scratching off of the cover of the name. Jim Craig, the goalie for the 1980 Miracle on Ice Team USA gold medal winning hockey team. Didn't have a long NHL career, played 30 games in the National Hockey League, but he is entrenched in hockey history because of what he did during that tournament. He was the goaltender for Team USA when they won the gold in 1980, and he has a rookie card in 80-81 O-Pee-Chee and Tops. It shows him as a Boston Bruin, but it does have a Team USA logo in the top corner of the card. You can get the O-Pee-Chee around $15. You can get the Tops unscratched, $10 to $15 raw. To me, for a player that, again, didn't have a long NHL career, but is forever cemented in hockey history and forever cemented in American culture because he was such a key part of that hockey team, that's a cool card to own. That's a cool card to own. And when I was doing the research, I thought to myself, I got to go grab one of these because that's just a fun card to have, if you ask me. And the fact that you can grab it for 10 to 15 bucks. It's got a Team USA logo. It's from 80-81, so it was released probably not long after the gold medal was won by that Miracle on Ice team. That would be a fun card to grab. That is the value vintage pick of the week. 1980s, right on that fringe of what folks would, or what PSA would call vintage or modern these days. So here we go. Getting into the rip today. Blackhawks Centennial tin. These are the hobby tins. These just came out, and they have some guaranteed hits. You've got Jeremy Roenick, Chris Chelios right there on the cover of the tin. The tins have 15 packs with 9 cards per pack. You have, I believe, 2 autographs. It's what they say you get in each one. I think it's 3 autograph and or memorabilia. Here's how they come inside the box. So it looks like 2 stacks of packs. We are not going to open the whole thing today. I have to find out how to get these out of here. If you will just bear with me for one moment. I don't want to have cards falling all over the floor here either. So now, here we go. We get the cover off. Let's get to a few of the packs here. We'll start things off. 9 cards a pack, 15 packs a box. Like I said, I don't think, because the Blackhawks have the history that they have, I don't think you have to be a Blackhawks fan to really enjoy these. Here's first pack, first card, and Andrew Ladd. This is what they look like. It's my first rip of this stuff, too. Andrew Ladd, Marcus Kruger, Dave Boland. We have a Captains. This is an insert set. Dirk Graham, remember him from the 1990s Blackhawks, 80s Blackhawks. Dirk Graham and the Captains insert. So that's actually a subset, not an insert. It's in the set. Oh, speaking of Dirk Graham, award winners, Dirk Graham, right here. That's another subset. Here's another award winner. Speaking of Patrick Kane, award winners subset card. You have the base cards. You have the award winners. You have memorable moments. Here's one. Stanley Cup winning goal, Dave Boland. Memorable moments. Really clean looking cards. Here's a Chris Chelios. And it's got current Blackhawks in it too. I'll get to that in a moment. So here's Chelios. And here is Ilya Mikheyev. He's a Blackhawk right now. So they mixed in a lot of the former Blackhawks. They mixed in a lot of the current Blackhawks. And again, 2 autographs per tin. You can find these. I know David Adams had them. I know Steel City, I believe, had them. So again, find them at a hobby shop near you. The Blackhawks Centennial Hobby Tin from Upper Deck. Pack number 2, there's JR, Jeremy Roenick. We've got, I think, one of the golds coming up here. I could be wrong, but I did see some color. Connor Murphy, award winner Chris Chelios. Here's record holders, team record holders, the Bobby Hall. So it has the vintage players in it as well. Oh, this is a cool one. This is the yellow parallel. Bob Probert. He was a Red Wing. He was a Blackhawk. And one of the toughest customers in the history of the game. That's our first yellow parallel, the Bob Probert right there. Dominik Hasek, stoppers. A lot of folks might forget that he was a Blackhawk. I remember as I believe about a 7-year-old going to a Red Wings Blackhawks game at Joe Louis Arena. My dad and I went, and I remember looking down between the pipes during warm-ups, and it was Dominik Hasek between the pipes for Chicago. But I wanted to see Ed Belfour. But it was Dominik Hasek, and little did I know I was getting to see one of the best to ever do it. Eddie the Eagle was a great goaltender too, but saw Dominik Hasek play as a Chicago Blackhawk. Third pack, Stan Mikita. Blackhawks all-time great number, retired there in Chicago. So Stan Mikita, we have, there's Marian Hossa, Glenn Hall, Hall of Fame. A lot of different subsets to this. Different variants, different subsets. There's Troy Murray on the award winner. Hall of Famer, Tony Esposito, and that is a yellow. Looks like that's our yellow in that pack. I believe that is the case, yes. We have the first rounders subset. A lot of different subsets here. Nolan Allen, the first rounders subset. Nick Leddy, Steve Sullivan. I want to try and get us one of the hits here before we say goodbye. Got 15 packs in here. We could be here. Oh, what do we have here? Maybe, maybe not. Marty Lapointe, Kevin Krasinski, Steve Larmer, captains, Chris Chelios. We got an autograph coming up here. We have an autograph coming up. So I am going to hold that until the end. We're going to put that in the back. Autograph coming up. Memorable moments, Andrew Shaw. Here's Ed Belfour. Fun product here. And again, I don't think you need to be a Blackhawks fan to like this because it is, well, there's such a Centennial set. They've been around 100 years. They've got something for everybody. Here is Jim Pappin. Paul Coffey. A lot of folks might forget he was a Blackhawk, Hall of Famer. The autograph checklist is so deep here. Marty Lapointe. Okay, here's our autograph. Played when I was a kid, when I was in my formative hockey fan years. On-card autographs. Defenseman Eric Weinrich. The autograph checklist incredibly deep, but he was a regular back in the 90s. Played in New Jersey as well. On-card autograph, Eric Weinrich. That is the Centennial Choice Autographs, Eric Weinrich. So we got one of the hits. I believe there's 3 autograph or memorabilia cards per box or per tin. I'm going to do one more pack. We're going to save the rest for next week because we should have at least one more hit in there. All right. Dustin Byfuglien, Dominic Hasek, Craig Anderson, award winners Duncan Keith, Stan Mikita record holder. Here's our yellow in this pack is Marty Turco. We've got the Capturing a Champion, another subset. Antti Niemi won a Stanley Cup there in Chicago with JP Bordelot and Reg Kerr. Fun product. I've said it multiple times. I don't think you need to be a Blackhawks fan to enjoy that. That is the Blackhawks Centennial Collection. Took me a minute to open it, but that just means the cards are secured. These hobby tins are available now from Upper Deck. Check them out. The front of it looks just like that. You get the guaranteed hits. You get 15 packs. There's some good entertainment value in there. Again, lots to look for in the Blackhawks Centennial tins. We'll open the rest next week. We will have another hit in there waiting for us. So again, something to look forward to when we talk to you again. Next time we talk to you on Nonsense on Ice, we will be in the Olympic break. So next week, I'm going to take a look at the break, who are some of the players in the driver's seats for the different NHL awards and what do their hobby markets look like as a result of the seasons they will have had up to that point. So we'll do a little bit of that. We'll do a little bit of looking back. We will at that point have a better chance to kind of assess O-Pee-Chee and some of the things we've seen come out of that. We will also hopefully be able to look at some of the stuff that I hit in those allure breaks. Hopefully it gets shipped here by then. Hopefully it all arrives on time. So we'll have that. Lots to get to coming up next week. Hobby 3 Stars, everything that you've come to know and hopefully love about Nonsense on Ice. So that takes us to the end of the show. Big thanks to all of you for being with us. Went a little bit longer today than planned, but again, thanks for sticking around through Nonsense on Ice here. Like, subscribe, comment, tell a friend. We're available wherever you find your podcasts, and make sure to check out everything else, all the other great perspectives, all the other great programming across the Sports Cards Nonsense Media Network. Until next time, thanks to all of you for tuning in. Thanks to Rebecca on the other side for the great production work as always. My name's Doug Plagens. This has been Nonsense on Ice, presented by our friends at Upper Deck, and we'll talk to you next time.